Today's guest, Sue McShane, is a valued member of the Aging Project community, and her story reminds us that health is never a finished task. It's a lifelong journey, and you have to keep adding pieces to your health puzzle and hopefully solving it along the way. Sue's experience shows us the importance of advocating for your own health, of course, understanding your own body, and taking those little micro steps towards long-term wellness. Sue, it's so great that you are comfortable sharing your story with all of us today.
Thanks, Shelley. Nice to be here.
So tell us a little bit about you and how you came across the Aging Project in the first place.
Wow, it's like it is the puzzle all coming together, I guess. So I'm almost 60, turned 60 this year. Been married for 30 years this year. I've got a 27-year-old son who gets married next year and a 24-year-old daughter who's a police officer in Sydney living her best life. She just did her first triathlon yesterday, so she's super fit, super happy, just loving life. And I think that's one of the most important things that we've got to remember in this journey of life is that leaving behind good, kind humans is the goal. If you have,
So you feel like you've achieved that so far. The kids are all happy and heading off on their life
yeah,
journeys, which leaves you in a really interesting position, doesn't it? As a 60-year-old woman,
mhm.
kids are taking care of themselves. You've done a great job there. What comes next for you?
It is. So I think that's one of the problems or one of the things that women struggle with is when you've been a mother, even if you've been working, you're getting to this point in life and you're like, now what? Now what do I do? And I've had a fairly good career life. I was a travel agent for many, many years. And even when the kids were little, I taught at tourism at TAFE so that I could have school holidays with them and work school hours. And that worked really well. And an interesting story when I decided to teach tourism and travel in TAFE, I thought I need to get experience talking in front of people. So I was doing Weight Watchers then, as we did back in the day. And if I lost all my weight, I could become a Weight Watchers lecturer. So I lost all my weight and I became a Weight Watchers lecturer. So it's always been driven my whole life. It's been driven about weight loss, not about health. Um,
Mhm.
so then I became a Weight Watchers lecturer to become a TAFE teacher, and I stayed with travel and tourism until a point in my late 40s when I had a friend die in a diving accident in Durban. And I was at her memorial and I had an aha moment where I was sitting there and they were talking about how she was always a go-getter, always did things first. And I thought, I want to be a yoga teacher. And that didn't come out of the blue. I've always been a group fitness person, been doing group fitness for a long time. Michelle Bridges, 12WBT. I've always done yoga, but it's been Ashtanga, the fast, furious exercise yoga, get it all in. And I just sat there, and the next day I went in, quit my job, enrolled in a certificate 3 and 4 in fitness because I wanted the anatomy base before I moved forward to yoga. And did that. I was like 49, I think, sitting in the class with all these new kids straight out of school. They were 18 or 19. I was like, this is going to be horrendous. But I loved it. I loved every minute of it. And they ended up calling me Mama Sue because I would help them all. And it changed. That really changed the direction of my life, that aha moment, because it led me to yoga. I did my yoga teacher training. I did a fitness based one first, and then went to Hawaii and did one with a lovely lady over there called Deb, who is so the antithesis of what I am. She's a hippie. She's trained with all the yoga greats in India. She basically, her house is basically a commune where they grow their own food. They don't use chemicals. And I went over there and I was like, what have I done? Who is this person? What am I doing here? And it flipped my whole journey from fitness to health. I went, oh, okay, I've actually got to start doing other things. It's not about losing weight. It's just another piece in that puzzle dropping in. And then that led me to trauma yoga. And I owned a yoga studio in Canberra for a long time, and I taught trauma yoga there. And I was involved with a charity called Frontline Yoga, which offers free yoga to frontline personnel, so nurses, doctors, police. Ironically, my daughter's a police officer, Army, Air Force, Defence Forces. And like my family has had a long history with mental health. I had a very violent alcoholic father growing up, and I was subject to incest when I was quite young, not by my father, by a different family member. And my elder sister had a quite a significant nervous breakdown, as we would call it back then, when I was in my early 20s. She died of lung cancer a couple of years ago. My eldest brother took his own life in his 50s. So mental health has run in our family. And I just thought at that point in my life, yoga was the be all and end all. It covered off mental health, it covered off fitness, it covered off flexibility. And I thought, oh, I've found the Holy Grail. This is it. I'm done. This is it for the rest of my life. And I was going along quite happily. And then I started to have the hot flushes and I started to put the weight on around the middle and I started to have anxiety, which I've never had in my life. I did have postnatal depression. My mum died when I was pregnant with my first child. So I think with my family's history with mental health, that kicked me into postnatal depression. I was protecting that baby when I was pregnant
Mhm.
and let it all out when I wasn't pregnant. 27 years on antidepressants I've lived with, and I never went off because of my family's history with mental health. So, yeah, I thought I'd found the Holy Grail. I had it all. And then I had started to get anxiety. And I'm like, what the hell? Where did this come from? And it wasn't until I started Googling that I found out that that's a symptom of menopause. And I was like,
Mhm.
oh, it's not me. Like it's just something that's happening to me because of this. I went to my doctor and told her I'm putting on weight. My cholesterol's gone up a little bit. I'm having these hot flushes, and she's never mentioned perimenopause. Would you like some more antidepressants? She said. We'll up your dosage. And I went, no. She said, well, we'll put you on statins for your cholesterol. I'm like, no, 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 I'm not doing that. And then a
Mhm.
couple of years after that, I moved down to a small south coast town south of Sydney, not far from your mate Scotty, in Mollymook, and I started teaching yoga down here. And one of the ladies, I used to go to coffee after yoga with the ladies that I taught because I think that was a healthy part, building that community. She was talking about the aging project, and I went, what? What's that? And I commute back and forth between Mollymook and Canberra, and I started to listen to the aging project. I listened to Dr. Vonda Wright first, and then the gut health one, and I've had massive staph infections, and I'm like, And then Lindsay, I listened to Lindsay's story, and I was like, oh, she sounds so lovely. I wish she lives closer. I could have an appointment. And then that urgent health epidemic podcast where you're talking about insulin resistance, and I was like, oh, I've got some of those things. Maybe my high cholesterol is because of that. And I went onto the You Must Try It site and went, I can get an appointment with Lindsay. So I booked in, changed everything. Literally has changed everything. Yeah.
Imagine this unlocking your genetic blueprint with insights from over 200 healthy aging genes, pinpointing your unique SNPs and potential red flags, understanding what your body needs to thrive and where it may need some extra support. No more guesswork, no more random supplements, one off blood tests, or one size fits all advice. For the first time in history, we have access to the power of genetic testing, something no generation before us has had. This information could change everything. Join our free DNA webinar and you'll get our Stay Well scorecard jam packed with the markers that we want you to track every year, starting now. Friends, know your genes, own your health. Let's learn to thrive together. Visit theagingproject.com to register, and I'll see you there. Sue, there's so many incredible layers to your story, and I believe to date we've had a guest for a lot of those things that can just, I guess, give you more of those aha moments and that realization that this is not typical, but there's people that have been through the same things I have. And yes, it's not all in my mind, and it's not going to be fixed necessarily with a prescription. You really are the epitome of taking control of your own health and wanting to change the direction of your future. And I think with so many markers there in your life that have been triggers for so many things, to be so engaged and in touch with who you are is the first battle, I
Yes,
think.
yes. And
Yes.
I think, like, I did the Fit Genes test. Um, I was listening to that podcast on the way to Sydney with my husband one day, and I went, I think we need to do this. I just want to know. There was always a joke in my family that, ooh, there's a mental health gene, and we've all got it, we're all crazy. And I did the Fit Genes test, and surprisingly enough, when I had an appointment before I did it with Lindsay, she was like, let's just see what that comes up with. I suspect that you're going to have a snip in one of these genes. And I'd gone off all my antidepressants after seeing Lindsay. It took me 6 months of implementing some of the strategies that Lindsay had given me, and I went off my antidepressants. So 25 to 27 years I'd been on them, and I went off, and I was up and down, up and down, up and down. And did the Fit Genes test, expecting a snip to come back in the MTHFR, I think, gene, one of them.
That's the one, yeah.
And it did. And that's one of the ones where your body doesn't process vitamin B6 or B12 correctly, or you've got to supplement yourself with those two
Mm-hmm.
vitamins to help with the methylation process, which helps with depression.
Listen to you. Yes.
All the knowledge. Yeah,
Yeah.
so before I even got those results, I was like, no, I'm positive that's going to be what it is. So I went on to You Must Try It and went vitamin B6, vitamin B12, add to cart, sent it down, and I started taking that, and I immediately felt myself become more stable.
Let's talk about that. To find that affirmation in your gene testing certainly would have been lovely to have that information earlier on in your life, but here it is now and it's readily available to everyone. How did that actually make you feel at that point? Jesus, I wish I'd known about this sooner, or thank goodness I now know this is, I wish this had been available for my sister and my brother along the way, and for your children,
Yeah,
obviously, to know that information now that they can take better care of themselves. They can have those, I guess, things in place that when they are starting to feel a little bit on edge, they know
yeah.
that this is part of their makeup.
I don't know, like they're still too young to have flipped into the actually I care what's happening in my body stage. So I think, that sort of happens in your 30s where you start to go, I need to start looking after this body. I've only got one. So yes, those strategies will be there for them, and I will, I think, send them for a Fit Genes test, or get a Fit Genes test sent to them when they're a little bit older, and they will start implementing some of the strategies. Um, yes, I wish I'd done it sooner, and I've got other
Mm.
family members that suffer with mental health issues, and I've said to them to take vitamins B6 and vitamin B12. The chances of you having that snip in your gene is probably very high. So
Mm.
yeah, I've spread that word. I wish I'd known sooner. I hate that for pretty much 25 years of my life I've been dulled down. Like antidepressants just make everything be on a steady state, and you don't experience the lows, but you don't experience the highs either. So
Mhm.
when I first
Mhm.
started coming off them, I was like, all the colours are so bright and sparkly.
Oh, sweet.
Oh yeah, I know. Shelley, I don't know whether I will stay off them forever. Who knows? At this point in my life, I'm off them, and that's the first time in my life that it's been quite a big period of time. And it's even
And as you say, just having the knowledge though, isn't it? So yes, you may need them as a support at some time, but to know too why,
mm,
it must be a big factor as well. And we do say here, and we know now through learning so much through Fit Genes that yes, that may be in your children's genes, for example,
mm,
but having such a supportive mum, and I imagine a very beautiful and stable childhood compared to what you had,
Mhm.
they may not ever get triggered by that. That may never show up in their future because of the path that they are on. Whereas you and the history that you lived with your family, that gene was triggered in you. So don't think it, for everybody, that those genes come to fruition. If you know they're there, there's lots of things that we can do to keep them in their place, and continue on. But as you say, take each day as it comes. And when you're feeling good and those colours are bright, what a beautiful place and a spot that is for you to be in right now.
Yeah, yeah. I also found out in the Fit Genes test that I have like cardiovascular um, issues. Well, not issues, but potential for cardiovascular issues. So Lindsay's put me on this super high dose of fish oil. So hopefully that'll help. But I've been watching my cholesterol come down in the blood test because of some of the strategies that Lindsay's put in, and perhaps because of this fish oil as well. It's starting to come down. It was never particularly high enough that they want to put you on statins, but I'm almost back to normal now. So yeah,
Which is fascinating, and we're always about optimal too. You don't want to be okay. You want to be firing on all
yeah,
cylinders, don't
yeah,
we?
yeah. So I think like with what Lindsay put me on, she said to me, "You're having sugar for breakfast." I'm like, "I'm having porridge and I'm having fruit and nuts on it. It's fine." No, and you need to have protein for breakfast and listen to the glucose goddess and take a inositol. And I did all of those things. When I came away from that first appointment with Lindsay, I printed out the email she sent me and I'm like, oh my God, I don't know where to start. And I took one thing off the list and I started with that. And then I was like, what is insulin resistant? Who is the glucose goddess? And I started doing all these little things. And now my sister's now following the protein breakfast. My husband's following the protein breakfast. My 24-year-old daughter, who has been telling me for years, you need to eat more protein, mum, and eat more food, is finally going, finally, you're listening to me.
Well, I'm not listening to you.
That's what I said.
Just yet. Just like our kids don't listen to us, we don't often listen to our kids either.
Exactly what I said. I said, you've just got to hear it for somebody's voice that resonates with you, Bryony.
That's it. But do you feel like you're doing it all now? You've done your Fit Genes testing. We're talking about that Vivally glucose monitor, which you wear for a short period of time, but it certainly gives you a wonderful snapshot of what foods may trigger you, those sugar spikes that kick in. Changing your brekkie is one of the biggest keys here at the Aging Project that we've all learnt from Lindsay. Steak and eggs or avocados, get those good fats in the morning if you can. And that is a big switch to make. How long did that process take you to go, right, I'm beefing up my brekkies?
It did take. I bought on the You Must Try It site the menopause diet, I think, or menopause meal plan. So that had some recipes in there. So I did some of those, which helped because I was like, oh, eggs again for breakfast. But eggs have choline, and I need choline according to the Fit Genes test. So that's a good thing too. I started doing it. I guess it was when I put that Vivally monitor on my arm, and I was like, "All right, I'm going to eat my normal porridge with nuts and berries," and saw it go boom, boom. It's like, oh, okay. And then I would see it when I'd have eggs and avocado, be nice and stable. And following the glucose goddess and watching what she says it does to your body by not having that stable meal in the morning, it can ruin the rest of your day and can have implications for your mental health. I can't do it now. I can't. I just get up in the morning and I'm like, I've got to have my protein because I don't want to set myself up for a bad rest of the day.
And once you know, isn't it? It's really hard to go against it. It's
Yeah.
like, again, those words of your parents ringing in your ears all the time. When you know what's right, it's much harder to do something against
Oh,
that.
it absolutely is. And I also follow now, you haven't had her on the podcast, but I'm sure you will, Dr. Stacey Sims.
Oh, we love Stacey. Yes, we're trying very hard to get
Oh,
Stacey.
very,
She's wonderful. Everyone, jump on her Instagram. She is an absolute
yes.
inspiration, and I'm sure you can listen to many of her other podcasts. We're gunning for Stacey, but yes, Sue, please
So
tell us.
I started going to a physiotherapist that worked with strength training because I thought I knew what to do. I'd done my certificate for in fitness, but I wanted to reconnect with lifting weights because now I'm hearing I need to build muscle for the glucose to be stored in so that I don't have insulin resistance. I was like, okay, I'll get back into weightlifting. So I went to this physiotherapist and she said to me, you need to start listening to Stacey Sims. You're eating protein for breakfast. You need to eat more protein for breakfast. You need to eat
Mhm.
15 grams of protein before you work out, 40 to 60 grams after you work out. I'm like, oh my God, this protein train never finishes.
It's following me everywhere.
So now I do that. These little tiny bits of the puzzle that keep dropping in, and
Mhm.
I'm getting.
I love too the fact that Stacey says that women aren't just small men, and I think that's something that's been in Western medicine for so long that our doses of everything are that of a middle-aged white male across all medicines, even if it's your Panadols or your Nurophens. That's what it is, and to hear Stacey sort of break that down and go, no, actually,
Mm,
physiologically we're very, very different, and her specializing in that, again, you listen to someone who resonates with you, don't you? And now you've got this wonderful guide with Lindsay, with Stacey, with the programs that we have here on the Aging Project, and You Must Try It. All those pieces are falling together for you, and again, having that knowledge too, Sue, that you do with your yoga training, and having a real interest in how the human body works. I guess you're able to put all those pieces together a little easier. What's your advice for women who are sort of starting out on this journey, and it all sounds like a lot when you start out? A quick pause in today's episode to share some of my must try products at youmusttryit.com. Through the Aging Project, I've learned managing stress is something to be intentional about, which is why over at youmusttryit.com, we've created a stress and sleep page with all of our favourite products. After today's episode, go check out the Shakti mat. This is an acupressure mat with over 6,000 spikes. Yes, I swear by it, as do so many of our customers. Even previous guest, Dr. Peter Wright from the Vera Wellness Clinic, said, I love this mat, Shelley. Thank you. It is my pleasure, Dr. Peter. To grab yours, just go to youmusttryit.com and type Shakti. That's Shakti. You'll also find essential oils, supplements, and organic teas, all designed to reduce stress and aid sleep. Trust me, all are a must try. Just go to youmusttryit.com for a 10% discount off your first order and to join our community.
it is a lot. We're complicated physiological beings and emotional beings, especially if you're going through menopause. Um, I had my nephew and his wife here just before Christmas, and I said to them, I was talking about fit genes, and I said, I think the perfect time in life to get your fit genes tested is your late 30s, early 40s. I said, you need to start then to optimize your health for when you're my age. So I think if you can start earlier, start earlier. I think people that, myself included, when I was teaching yoga, I was like, it's the best thing for you. We're building muscle, we're doing weight bearing exercise. It's not enough. You have to lift weights. You have to do some form of putting your muscles under stress to build muscle, for lots of different reasons. For if you break your hip when you're in your 70s, the longevity after that is 1 to 2 years. 1 to 2 years. You don't want to break your hip. So, stay fit and healthy. I would think your first port of call would be getting a appointment with a clinical nutritionist and start there.
Mhm.
Start with your diet. And stop being in our heads all the time about weight. And it's really easy to say, I've grown up in that culture. I'm 60. Weight Watchers, Easy Slim. I've done it all. And
Mm.
I get on the scales and go, oh, I haven't lost any weight. I'm doing all this work. Of course you haven't. You're putting on muscle. And what does it matter? What does it matter?
That's it. Well, the knowledge is the power. And again, a lot of us, will stop learning for a period of time. And it doesn't matter whether you're talking about, maths or science or using AI. And I was having this conversation with my dad on the weekend about Chat GTP. He says, "Do you use it?" I said, "All day, every
Oh,
day."
I used it for recently. She broke up with her boyfriend and she asked it for relationship counselling, and she was sending me screenshots, and I was like, wow, that's really good advice.
That's really good advice. That's it. And it is, it's extraordinary. But if someone had told us that, 15 years ago that it was coming and we didn't sort of move with the times, and I think there's now so much knowledge about health, well-being, aging, but it's keeping up with all that information. And as you say, Weight Watchers and things, they served their purpose at the time because that's the information that we had to
Yes,
us. Now there's so much more information. I loved one of Dr. von der Wright's, and I've never forgotten this phrase. She goes, "You got to bash your
I still
bones. You got to bash your bones, ladies."
I do a
I was like, "You're so
I do
right."
a training protocol through Hayley Happens Fitness. So she works with Dr. Stacey Sims, and they've written an app where you can start weightlifting. She's actually done one with Dr. von der Wright where you can learn to lift and start simple and progress up. So it's a really good way of starting if you've got no idea where to go. However, I would advocate for a PT to get your form right because you don't want to injure yourself.
And keep you motivated and all those things. Yes.
So yeah, I use that app, and now she's integrated pogo jumps, so you're bashing your bones. So you've got to lay that lays down bones. So yoga's all very good for lots of different other reasons, and I still love my
Mhm.
yoga. It's really good for your mental health. It's really good for your mindfulness. It's really good, particularly for trauma. It's really good for flexibility, but it has to be done in combination with something else. Is my view now.
So how do you fit all of this into your day? Again, we talk a lot about baby steps, and it does take a while to get that program right and to get your routine right and to make those decisions that it's now your time and you're allowed to put yourself first, even if it is just for a couple of hours a day. Has your whole routine now changed, or are you still trying to fit it in with all the other things that you were
No, I'm,
doing
I'm in a
prior
very
to this?
privileged position in that I'm semi-retired. So I still work part-time as a travel agent, still teach yoga every now and then. But I've got flexibility in my day. So every single day, apart from this morning, I get up and I I weight lift 3 days a week. I do sprint interval training 1 day a week. I do long steady state training, which is a long walk 1 day a week. And then I try and do yoga one of the other days a week. So I'm lucky. I have my whole day free. If you're not retired and you're in a lot of ladies at our age, not your age, my age, they've got teenage children, elderly parents, high profile jobs. It's hard to fit it in. It is really hard to fit it in. But getting up that hour earlier, going to bed that hour earlier, teenage kids stay up late. You don't have to stay up late with them.
No, they're allowed to tuck you
That's
in now.
right.
You don't have to tuck them
Dr.
in.
von der Wright, I look at everything she does. If you follow her on Instagram, she's an orthopedic surgeon. And she travels and speaks, and she's got children, and she does her exercise every day of the week. You can fit it in.
Yes. But she's learned to prioritize that so she can do all those other
Mm.
things. And that's, I guess that's one of the biggest keys, isn't it, about being a human in this day and age, whether it be working parents or not. It really is. If you don't have your health, you won't have anything. And you've got to prioritize that.
No, and you don't. Honestly, if you don't have your health, you do not have anything. And we all know that when we get sick and we feel like rubbish and you can't do anything. I watched my elder sister die from or struggle with mental health her whole life and then die from lung cancer a couple of years ago. You've got nothing if you don't have your health. So you have to start looking after it from now. So whatever that now is, whether you're 30, 40, 50 or 60, 70, you've got to look after it from now. And just take one little thing. Okay, this week I'm going to change my breakfast. And next week I'm going to weight lift or start to do some kind of exercise 1 day a week. one thing once a week. I remember I got that big list of stuff from Lindsay, and I was like, whoa. But it just continuously leads me to different things to the point where after
Mhm.
60 years, I'm now seeing a psychologist about my childhood trauma. Whereas I didn't want to know about any of that. I didn't have time. I push that away.
Mm.
I've got a family to raise of my own. It's not my time. But you get to a point in your life where it is your time. So keep working on yourself so that when you get to that point, you can have your time.
We've got a wonderful guest just for you coming up, Sue, and I say just for you because it's going to speak to you, but I know he's going to help so many out there. Dr. Don Wood, look him up, check him out before we get to put him to air. But he is a trauma specialist, and I know that again, your story, you're not alone. There's so many people that have experienced similar to you. And again, here at the Aging Project, we're always searching
Mm,
for ways to help everyone work through what it is so that they can feel excited and positive about the next 40 years of their life. We've got a long way to go. Sue, are you now feeling more I guess excited or ready to embrace the next 40 years?
absolutely. My grandfather died at 97. My dad died at 89. So I figure I'll make it to 100 at least.
Yeah, you got some good genes
Yeah,
there.
Mum not so much, but um, no, I just hope the muscle aches don't get any worse. The tendon aches where you get in the morning and like, what hurts today? That's menopause. Just keep going. We'll get through it. I'm sure it'll even out with the fish oil and the magnesium and the zinc and everything else we take.
And your big protein filled brekkies and your walking and your yoga
Yes,
and just all of the above. Your
I think my
mindfulness. Have
biggest
you?
challenge is to keep it up. You've got
Yeah.
it's become a pretty much a routine now that I get up and I work out. It's just even if I don't want to, I get up and I do it because it needs to be done. Um, my psychologist goes, "You're that type of person, aren't you? Just get in there, get it done." And I went, "Yes, I am. Get in, get it done." I keep reading.
I'm a bit the same. I'm like, "Oh, yeah, here we go again." And I used to, I guess, question why some people wore activewear all day long. And now I find if it's not the first thing I put on in the morning, I'm not putting it on at lunchtime and I'm not putting it on in the afternoon. So if you just slip it on and don't even walk around bare feet in the morning until you've done your grounding, of course, but then put your exercise shoes on. Like this could happen at any moment now. I'm,
I
I'm like, okay,
I
Shell,
have to get up,
you're
get
ready
it
to go.
done. I'm
Just
not
get up
that.
and
Some
get
of
it
those
done.
people they can go to work and then they can go and do their exercise. No, I have to get up and get it done. I know that about myself now after all these years.
Mhm.
Yoga I can do any time of the day, but if the exercise that I'm not really keen on, I have to do first up. And I'm starting. I guess
Well
my
done.
biggest challenge with exercise now is incorporating some more cardio into it. So some more sprint interval training.
Mhm.
I'm almost glad that I don't live up near Lindsay because I see she started the sprint interval training club now. I'm like, whoo, I'm glad I don't live near them.
Just
They'd be
saying.
whipping.
Sue, I know you're around the corner and you're not here at 5 a.m.
Yeah, yes. But yeah, people just need to take control of their life. And I think the protein thing, the insulin resistance thing, very common in menopause. You've got to do something about it because you'll put on weight otherwise. And although it's not about weight, you're going to be unhappy. We all know that. So take control of it. And I've lost 9 kilos, I think, without trying. I eat more now than I used to because of this damn protein. But um, you eat so much protein, you're not hungry for anything else. There's a bonus. Even
That's the
this year,
key. That's the
I
key.
love my mangoes, love my mangoes. But all I can see when I look at them now is a little glucose bomb. So I save it and I'll have a half a mango once a week after I've had my dinner. So it's not going to create too much of a glucose spike. The knowledge is power, huh?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I know you've affirmed so many of the things that we are here trying to teach everyone at the Aging Project. To hear it from you, a member of our community, I think goes so far. And sometimes, as you say, you need to hear it from another voice before it really, really sinks in. And you're wonderful, smiley, healthy, radiant living proof of everything that we're trying to do here at the Aging Project, Sue. So thank you. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for being a part of the
Oh,
gang.
you're welcome.
Um,
It's my privilege.
can't wait to see you on the next project that we've got coming
Oh,
up,
I know.
the
What
next program.
next? No, you can't tell me. You can't give me a heads up. And I mean, if other people are struggling and they want to reach out, then feel free to contact me. I'm on Instagram, so you can reach out and ask. I've got some trauma yoga classes recorded, so people can start there if that's where they want to start and need to start. We all, as you said, we all have trauma. It's all in our lives. It's not something we should hide away. But I don't think it's something that should define us or we should dwell on either. So I think, yes, I've got trauma. It's not who I am, it's part of my life. And I think other people need to acknowledge that and reach out if they need help too. So,
Trauma yoga, how does that differ? Obviously, as you said, you were doing other different types of yoga, and then you have come across this, or you even
oh no, I
created
haven't
this type
created
of
it.
yoga?
There's a guy called Bessel van der Kolk who's a psychiatrist in Boston who started working with veterans and discovered that yoga changes the way the brain can process trauma, I guess. So I did my trauma yoga training. Trauma yoga differs in the fact that, especially for veterans, the way we teach frontline people is you stand at the front of the class, so they know where you are. You point out where all the exits are, so they know where their vulnerabilities are, I guess. You tell them that you've got them while you're there, they're safe, you're watching all those exits. You do not leave your mat, so there's never any adjustments. There's never, when I teach a normal yoga class, I'll just walk around.
Mhm.
It's very much embodiment, so placing your hands on your legs, slow movements, trying to get out of your brain and into your body. That's pretty much it. It's
Sounds wonderful.
Yeah, frontline yoga, as I said, is there for any first responders, and they've also got yoga classes that are recorded and up online. Thank you, COVID. um, but it's inclusive language. Like, we're moving
Mhm.
our leg, not put your leg there. It's very invitational, inclusive language. I've always taught in that sort of style, so it's quite natural for me to talk in that way.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I've had one person that was triggered during the class, and I could see them stop during the class, and I can't. I'm not leaving my mat. But they came back into it, and at the end of the class, they came up to me and said, "I was back in Afghanistan during that class, and I remembered the breathing we did at the beginning of the class, and I went back to that breathing, and it brought me back." And I was like, "My job in this world is done. I've helped one person."
Yeah. That's right. That's absolutely right. You are a wonderful human and you are leading by example. And I know that a lot of our community is now going to reach out to you. So if you see 1,000 people sliding into your DM, Sue,
You're welcome. I'll get back to you
that's it.
eventually.
Yeah, that's right. Well, they can find you at Frontline Yoga.
No, I'm not part of that anymore, but I still advocate for them, but I'm not part of that
Mhm.
process. So Sue Travel Yoga Life or Yoga Travel Life on Instagram, we'll put it up.
We'll put the links up,
And
that's
Sue
right. We will
McShane
have your
Yoga.
contact details
Yeah.
there. And it really is so wonderful to have you as now a vocal part of our community. And we encourage everyone through our programs to communicate and to really add your own stories. And it helps everyone. And like Sue has had the opportunity today to help us spread the word and to talk to you firsthand, there is a lot of fabulous people on there sharing their stories and their common experiences.
Mhm.
And it just makes you realize that you are not alone at all. And we are here to hold you all the way. And we have wonderful women like Sue who are part of the community as well. And everybody is supporting everybody. And
They are.
yeah, this is a really special
It
place
is.
for me to find myself, and I really thank you for that
Well,
too,
thank
Sue.
you and Amanda for starting it, and Lindsay, I guess she's a big part of it. I would recommend everybody do their fit genes tests. Absolutely do a fit genes test. You can make changes now that are going to make huge impacts in your life now
Yeah,
and
yeah.
into the future. So
It is. It's like an out of body experience, isn't it? You see yourself on paper, and you think, oh, okay, this isn't necessarily my lifestyle choices, but now I can take control of this, and I can have some power over what is going to happen in the next 40 years with my health.
absolutely,
And I find that really, really exciting. And again, as you say, once you learn, you'll never
lifelong
forget.
learn. I have the fat gene too, the fat gene, which means eat more protein. I'm like, oh,
Yep, it does.
area.
All the roads are leading back, Sue. You know, there is no escape.
I know.
And look, how easy is it too for a nutritionist like Lindsay to have that roadmap as well? They could spend, you know, hours and hours trying to work out some of these things to put you on the right journey, which they would in the end. But to go in there with this wonderful roadmap, it makes your nutritionist's journey that much easier. It means you're well on your way. It's just a fabulous place to start.
There's no
It's
guesswork.
all about the baby
Yeah, they
steps.
can see. They've got a roadmap. They can see exactly where you're going to be headed if you don't make changes. So yeah, it's a great thing. Everybody should do it. It's yeah, everybody should do it at some point in their life, preferably earlier rather than my end of life. Although
Oh
I'm an
no, you're
early-
only halfway there, babe. You're only halfway there.
Oh God, no.
Hang on for the ride. I see great things in your future,
Life's
Sue.
great. Life's great. Every day is different, but it's always great. Yesterday, we were standing at the Husky triathlon watching my daughter. It was her first triathlon. It was so cute. These are the impacts you leave on your kids, right? Like, so she's weightlifted and she's doing exercise because that's what she saw me doing all my life. My son plays American football, and he's watched his father play football his whole life. Just was standing watching these triathletes yesterday and watching her every transition with this big grin on her face. She was loving life.
Oh.
And I was looking at these triathletes going, look after your body. Look after your body. Lift weights as well. Do
Here-
triathletes.
Here's a boiled egg for your run. Yeah.
No, it's all about carbs for them. All about the carbs.
Oh, to be young again. No, I don't think I'd want to be young again.
No.
I'm loving it right now. And as you say, having that knowledge moving into the next 50 years has given me great hope. And yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm excited for you too.
Thank you, Shelley. And none of this would have happened. I wouldn't be at this point in my life off antidepressants, eating healthily, lifting weights without the Aging Project. So honestly, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll catch up again soon. Sue, thank you for your bravery in sharing your story and allowing us to learn from your journey. There's something really special about hearing somebody's life story. It's a powerful reminder that there's always another layer to our health and chapter to our life. There's always a way to move forward, to make improvements and take control. We're never really stuck. Hearing how the Fit Genes program has helped you feel your best at age 60 is truly heartwarming. This is exactly why we created this program, to help change lives. If you're curious about how your DNA can unlock better health, join our free DNA webinar at the Aging Project. It's the first step in discovering your DNA. Thank you again, Sue. Thank you so much for sharing. And thank you for listening. I'm Shelley Craft. Stay well, friends, and I'll see you next week. As always, the Aging Project podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes. Always seek medical advice from a qualified practitioner.